we have lights, we have sound, and we even have some exciting vibration in the engine department. Oh yes, welcome back to St Blazy Model World. Now, just before all the model railway enthusiasts switch off, I say stick around. You might find the electronics in the Big Blue Beast interesting. It has more in common with your model railway than you might think, and that's especially true if you're a DCC rail enthusiast. Now, if you're a DCC model railway enthusiast, you'll be familiar with chips in your locos that allow them to move via remote control, and they have sound files on them as well. They can also control lighting, and this is the equivalent of a DCC chip, the Euro style MFC-03. Euro style because Tamiya make two basic ranges of trucks, one in the American style and one for the European market. It's very specific really, and you need to buy the right one. So what does the MFC multifunctional control give us? Let's have a look at the features. Sound effects, light effects, operation for things like removing or for decoupling a trailer from the vehicle, mode selection, and a vibration device. Well, it's all starting to look a bit interesting, isn't it? And let's have a look at the box. This is the box from the MFC-03 fitted into my Tamiya truck that we've just seen. Some of these components will be familiar to model railway enthusiasts. For example, down here we've got a range of lights, LED lights, that are fitted into the truck, and these of course are for things like the headlights, fog lights, indicators, brake lamps, reversing lights, all sorts of things that we can put onto our truck. The sound comes from this speaker, and choosing where you're going to fit the speaker is up to you, but it normally goes in the cab of the vehicle. We'll have a look at my truck in a minute and you can see how all these devices are crammed in. This unit here is the basic on and off switch and mode selection, and this allows you to set the truck so that it can respond in real time to how the vehicle is being driven, or it can be pre-selected to give a range of display modes where it flashes the lights and sounds the horn and other things all in sequence. The actual control unit is this device here, and again that's mounted in the cab of the truck, and we'll have a look shortly. And all of the LED lights and the wire that controls the fifth wheel for coupling and decoupling trailers to the vehicle all connect to this device, and this device talks to the remote control unit. So it's a bit like uncoupling a train on a model railway. You can either do it with the hand of God, or you can do it by a remote control device. Lastly, here we have the vibration unit, and it comes in two parts, and these provide a vibration to the vehicle when it's ticking over, and it gives it a realistic look as well as the realistic sound and lighting effects. What will one of these cost you? Well, nothing in Tamiya world comes cheap. An MFC-03 is going to cost you upwards of £200. That's in addition to the cost of the truck kit itself. So let's have a look at the vehicle and see where all of these things live. So first of all, let's look at our control unit. And on the model itself, it lives just here, and it's located behind the cab. It allows us to switch on the model, the truck, and activate a number of functions depending upon what it is we want our model to do. Obviously we've got our on-off switch. You can see the red LED there. 3 different modes, and then we can decide whether we want hazard or indicators, roof lights if we have them. We don't on this model. Various other modes, light switching, etc. And at the end is a volume control, just to give us some adjustment to the sound. Currently, our remote control unit is switched on. So let's have a look at some of the functions. Because our remote control is actually switched on now, we can start to control various functions of the vehicle. Activated lights and the horn sound. Let's have a look at the front. And if we pull that lever back instead of pushing it forwards, the vehicle attempts to start up. Currently I've got this set up in a display function, so it will flash through the lights and the indicators, etc. in a sequence, just to let people know that everything is working. Let's have a quick look at the front, see how that looks on the model itself. And you can see the lights flashing there. And if we quickly go to the rear of the vehicle, again you can see all of the lights flashing. By holding down the light switching button here, I can change the fashion of the display. So if I press on it and hold it, we now alter the display of those lights. So again, if we just quickly go to the front of the vehicle, now you can see the lights flashing in turn. And of course, that change is reflected at the rear of the vehicle. So the multifunctional control unit really does give us a number of different functions. Having pressed that switch again, the rotation of lights coming on and off is a lot faster. And of course that's reflected at the back of the vehicle as well. Now, one of the things that our multifunction unit is able to do is to automatically couple and release trailers via the 5th wheel. I've got a slight issue with that at the moment, which is why this wire, it would normally be underneath the vehicle, is currently sitting on top of the chassis, and it disappears into the cab, and we'll see where that goes to in a minute. But overall, it really does give us a great range of functions. Not only can we control lights and sound, but it allows us that extra sort of realism by remotely removing and connecting trailers to our model. So let's have a quick look underneath this vehicle and see how the wiring looks for the LED lights. Now, because the wiring for the LEDs is multicoloured, I've actually wrapped mine in a PVC tape to make some it's an artificial wiring loom, I guess you could say, but of course being wrapped in black PVC means that it's less visible from above. But we just follow the line all the way along here, and we can see it again here, and it runs over the battery, through here and into the cab of the vehicle. And that's really where the brains of this multifunctional control unit live. Just while we're under here, it's a good time to point out that there are a couple of servos here. Now, the first one is this one here, which activates the steering, and the second one is this one here, which activates the gearbox. So we'll tilt the cab forwards just like the real thing, and it'll give you some idea of just how much wiring is involved with this MFC-03. And I'll just tilt the truck upwards on its nose so that we can get a better view. But just before I do that, you'll be able to see this component here, and that is the vibration unit that gives the truck its realistic look while it's on tick over and moving. So here's our wiring looms for our lights, disappearing upwards into the cab. Our vibration unit is here, and the rest of the electronics are all bolted into the cab itself, on the back of the cab and onto the roof. Let's try and have a quick look. So on the back of the cab there, you can just about make out the MFC-03 control unit, the module that controls everything that this vehicle can do, this model can do. All of the lights and the sound and the vibration unit and the remote control communication device all plug into this box of electronics. And finally, of course, bolted onto the underside of the roof of our cab is the speaker that gives us the sound. Now, I have another Tamiya truck that does not have the multifunctional control unit fitted. Why? Well, because that truck up until a few years ago was being used at meetings, and when you've got 20 or 30 of these trucks running around in an arena, it really doesn't matter whether you can hear it or see it or not, with lights flashing, etc. And a lot of model truck enthusiasts will black out the cab. And you may have noticed that my truck actually comes with, it's got a pilot in it. There he is. I'll just bring him down there. There is a bit of reflection of my hand holding this camera, but there we are. Now, they don't come with pilots. You have to buy those. That's an extra, just like everything else. So you pay your money and take your choice. But I hope that's given you a brief insight into what the multifunctional control unit can do for your model truck. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have time, leave a comment. As always, of course, I'd invite you to subscribe to the channel. Subscribing to YouTube channels is free of charge, but it does help us who create the content on YouTube grow our channels, and it's always much appreciated. That's it for this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next time at St. Blazy Model World.